Hello, everybody. Welcome into Sports by GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Jeremy Lapidus. Today we have a great show for you. We're going to go over a bunch of NFL quarterback carousel stuff. Dak Prescott looking for a $60 million contract, whether or not he deserves it, what the Cowboys will do, and what they should do. We're going to look at some more updated on the Justin Fields news from yesterday. He came out and talked a little bit about why he ended up not following the Bears anymore on Instagram. So we'll look at what he had to say. We'll talk a little bit about places that he might go. Falcons. I heard some people bringing up the Panthers quarterback situation, so we'll talk a little bit about that as well. And last but not least, we're going to go over the MLB offseason team by team, do some predictions for the upcoming season. We're going to start with the Yankees today. So we'll do one of these for all 30 teams, but we're going to go ahead and start with the Yankees. Remember that if you would like to be a bigger part of the show, all you need to do is go to streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork/tip. Again, streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork/tip. You go to there, you leave a tip or donation. You can you leave a message with it. Message will come across the screen. Everyone, including me, will see it. We'll have a little bit of a back and forth conversation here. But without further ado, let's get right into the first segment, which is going to be about Dak Prescott, the Cowboys, and NFL quarterback contracts in general. Dak Prescott, reports are that he is looking for $60 million and a new contract from the Dallas Cowboys. Now, a lot of people, including myself, are unsure of whether he's worth an extra contract. He signed that shorter deal. His first contract was a little shorter than most NFL quarterback contracts that you see nowadays, in hopes of exactly this: getting paid twice, double dipping, getting two contracts at the NFL level in his prime. And coming off a season like he just had, where he probably should have been an MVP finalist, putting up career numbers, having the best quarterback season stat-wise in the NFL, and leading the Dallas Cowboys to a division title, not a playoff win, but a division title. He is looking to parlay that season into another massive contract. And the biggest thing with Dak Prescott isn't whether or not he's a good quarterback, because you can go around and unless they are truly hating for no reason, Dak Prescott, most people will tell you that Dak Prescott is a good quarterback. Now, when you start to get into the conversations with him is when you start getting to, is he an elite quarterback? Is he in that upper echelon of the league? And that's fair conversation to have, because he does have these moments where he will put up 500 yards in a game, 6 touchdowns. And then he'll have games like where he'll throw 5 interceptions, where he'll look awful like he did in the playoffs. And the playoffs really are the big thing for Dak Prescott. The inability, seemingly, to win in the big moments in the playoffs. And we talked a little bit about this with the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan after the Super Bowl, with the whole them not being able to step up and win in the Super Bowl. But Dak Prescott has shown an inability to even win in the playoffs, even get that far. And I know he's won a couple games. I'm not going to sit here and be the one that's saying, oh, he can't win in the playoffs. He has. He's won a couple playoff games. It's not always his fault when the Cowboys lose these playoff games. But he's been their quarterback. And that really is the big question when you're looking at, should you give him this massive $60 million contract? Not only is it a question of, do we want Dak, but it's a question of, is it worth Dak? Is Dak worth that money on this team? Or on any team, really? Because the Cowboys need Dak Prescott. They don't really have a plan behind him. Cooper Rush is a great backup quarterback. He's not going to be your starter. And for all the people that are looking at that were clamoring for him to be the starter, no, he's not better than Dak Prescott, and he's a backup. So they don't really have a plan behind him. They don't have a high enough draft pick to go out there and replace him. Now they could always, not sign him and go get another quarterback in the offseason. But Jerry Jones has always been a guy who's been very loyal to his players that have been loyal to him. Players and coaches. You talk about a guy like Jason Garrett and even their current coach, McCarthy. They are, both of them stayed past their welcome, right? They stayed way too long because Jerry just did not fire them. And I know a lot of Cowboys fans, a lot of people wanted McCarthy fired this offseason. But he's back for another year, and the Cowboys are back in the same situation that they were before. So, except now they have to worry about paying Dak Prescott. And if they do end up paying Dak Prescott $60 million a year like he's asking, what position does this put the Cowboys in? What position does this put the future of that franchise to go out and give the rest of their guys big contracts? Tony Pollard is on the franchise tag. He's a free agent. Not that he had the greatest season last year, but he's an important part of that team, that defense. They need to sign a bunch of people from that really, really solid defense. And this really goes into a bigger question of NFL quarterback contracts in general. I personally don't think Dak Prescott is worth $60 million. And I think if you took a poll of most people would say the same. He's not worth $60 million. He's a great quarterback. But is he really worth that much money compared to the rest of the team? But it's going to be a premium. The only reason that we're even talking about if he is worth $60 million is because of the premium of the quarterback position. The quarterback position as a whole really puts a stranglehold on every team. You've seen it to a lesser extent. I'll use my New York Giants as an example. They paid Daniel Jones because he won a playoff game, right? And it was questionable at the time. It's only become more questionable since then. But they did a good job with that contract, and I will defend this contract to as far as I need to, because as much as he isn't worth $40 million, they weren't going to go find another quarterback. They had made the playoffs and won a playoff game, and they were supposedly only looking up. Now, we see what happened this season. A lot of things went wrong, and Daniel Jones is not worth $40 million. But to get a quarterback at $40 million, and not really even at $40 million, after this year, there's a way out for the Giants there. But that's a whole nother topic for a whole different segment. But it puts them in a situation where they can't go and throw money at a guy like Saquon Barkley, or they can't go out and get a huge free agent defensive player to go and shore up that defense or fix that offensive line, because they've invested so much money in the quarterback position. And there's so many teams that are in this position right now. Patrick Mahomes signed a $500 million deal over 10 years. But it's slowly becoming more and more team-friendly, because as the cap rises, it's not going to be as big of a hit. There were conversations around Geno Smith. He got his contract, $12.5 million. That is a really good price for a quarterback like Geno Smith. It's a really good price for a guy that can make Pro Bowls. He's not going to compete for MVPs. He's not going to lose you games. Can make Pro Bowls. That's a really good price for a quarterback nowadays on a second contract. $12 million. And that's like upper tier of a lot of other positions. This is bottom tier second contract guys for quarterbacks. It's such a disparity. And we've had conversations in the past, not me on this show, but I've heard conversations in the past about putting a separate salary cap for quarterbacks. And that's an idea that I think is worth toying with. Now, there's no way players would agree to this in the next CBA, or quarterbacks at least. But putting a cap on the amount of salary the quarterbacks can earn can really help spread the wealth around a little more. It can start allowing teams to have these franchise guys and build elite teams around them much easier. Now, there's a double-edged sword to all of this, because then you get to the point where you can really start to build super teams in the NFL. And it takes away some of the parity that the NFL is so famous for, that the parity that makes the NFL the NFL. Without it, it loses a lot of its charm. So there are conversations to be had here about quarterback contracts. And $60 million for Dak Prescott. $60 million isn't even the highest paid quarterback. Like, he's not asking for that. He's asking for top 5 money. But he's not asking for the highest paid. $60 million for Dak is a lot. But if the Cowboys want him back, they're going to have to do it. They're going to have to do it, and it's not what's best for the team. $60 million against the cap every single year to one person. The cap officially hit $250 million this season. So you're giving more than 20% of it to one guy. You have to fill out the rest of it with 53 other guys, It's not as much to go around. Now, that's still a lot of money to go around, but you have to pay all your other guys as well. So quarterback contracts have been getting out of hand, and they will continue because people are going to just keep resetting the market, which is fine. It's what we expect in the NFL as the cap continues to go up. But if it ever gets to a point, and this isn't going to happen anytime soon, it won't. But if it ever gets to the point where the cap goes down at all, I'm curious what's going to happen with quarterback contracts. I'm curious how it will affect them, because there's such a large disparity between them and the rest of the league that at that point, you never know what's going to happen. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. Does Dak Prescott deserve $60 million a year? I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment, but in the next segment, we will talk about the Yankees, move into some baseball, move through the first episode of the offseason files of the MLB. We'll be right back.